Hi, and welcome back to KCPS Homeroom. Hope you're ready for some math. I'm Miss Aker. Welcome to my classroom, and thank you for inviting me into your home. Today we have a lot of fun stuff planned, and I want to start with our Just Know It. So we're going to start every math session that you do with me with thinking about things we already know, just like that. And to warm up, I want to sing our Frankie the Fraction Frog song because today we're going to be working on our fractions. Let's go! Here's Frankie, and he's ready to sing with you. Follow along while we sing the song together. Here we go! Frankie the Fraction Frog song. Frankie is the name, and fractions are the game. Numerator's on top, so I hop, hop, hop. Denominator's down, go to the ground. Nice job. Take a look at Frankie's lily pads. He has one at the start and one at the end of our number line. He starts here at 0, and he's trying to get to that spot that we've marked where the fly is. So he hops 1, he grabs that fly, yum, Frankie, and then he goes underneath to the other lily pad. So how many times did he hop? 1 hop. That's the numerator. 1 out of how many did he have to get to the other lily pad? 1, 2. 1 out of 2. He hopped halfway there. Nice job, Frankie. Let's practice some more Just Know It with some fractions and see if you can name them just like that. Here we go. I'm going to hold up some note cards with fractions on them or models that represent fractions. I want you to say out loud at home what the fraction is and just know it, just like that. And then we'll do it a second time and we'll check our work. Are you ready? Give me a thumbs up when you're ready. Okay, here we go. First one. You know it. You got this. Nice job. Looks like a pizza. Almost there. Last one. Wow, great work. Do you think you got them all? Did you just know it? Let's find out. Okay. Did you say 2/5? Nice work. What about 2/3? The numerator is 2, the denominator is 3. How about this one? 1, 2, 3 parts make up the whole, and only one of them is shaded. 1/3. You got it. 1 out of 3. Remember this one like a pizza? There's 4 parts and one is shaded. 1/4. You got that one. Ooh. Half of it's shaded. That means 2 parts, 1/2. And then we got 1/4. And last but not least, 1/2. Nice work, everyone. You really knew that. Let's move on to our next part, which is figure it out. Today's figure it out is to figure out where we use fractions in the real world. We can use them all sorts of different places. So think about it for a second, and we're going to come up with some ideas together. I asked you to think of real-world examples of fractions where you see them every day. One of my favorite examples is with food. Thumbs up if you always want to make sure that you get an equal piece of the pizza. You don't want someone else to get the bigger piece. You want it to be fair and even. There are lots of ways to use fractions when you're working with food. Another real-world example is different activities that you might do, like when your teacher is 1/3 of the way through the book, or when your soccer game is at the halftime and you have another half to go. Those are all real-world examples of activities with fractions. Another example that you know a lot about is time. When there's only 15 more minutes or a quarter of an hour to go in school. You get very excited when school's almost out. Or you know that you have half an hour of recess time. That's 30 minutes. Half of an hour is 30 minutes, 1/2. Another real-world example, like Frankie on our number line, is distance. He jumped halfway to his lily pad. He was almost there. Or maybe you've been in the car with your grandma or your mom or dad or somebody who's taking you somewhere and you say, "Are we there yet?" And they're like, "No, we are only a quarter of the way through the trip." That's 1/4. That's a fraction. And I couldn't help, I just had to put it on there twice. Another food example. I love cake and I always want to get the biggest piece, but that's not really fair. So it's good to make sure that you're cutting your cake pieces in equal slices, equal parts of the whole. That way, everybody's satisfied. Wow, good job on figuring out some real-world examples. It's time for What's New? And today I have Frankie here to help me with our learning target. So let's take a look at it. It's right here behind me. I can use models to recognize and generate equivalent fractions. Oh wow, why do teachers always do that? They add a bunch of fancy words in our learning targets. Sometimes it's hard to figure out. Well, let's break it down together. I can use models. Well, I know from our Just Know It that models is a fancy way of saying drawings. So we can draw. To recognize, oh, I think recognize is like to see it, to know it. And generate, that's a word I'm not really sure of. I think to generate means to make it or to create it. Equivalent fractions. Well, I know that we've been working on fractions, and that is an example of a fraction is the numerator over the denominator, like 1/4, 1/2, 2/3. Those are examples of fraction. But this word equivalent, what does equivalent mean? Well, it kind of sounds like equal. So I think we're going to make fractions that are equal to each other. Let's read it again and see if we understand. I can use drawings to know and create equal fractions. I think we can do that. And the two models that I'm going to teach you to use today to make some equivalent or equal fractions are ones that you're familiar with. The first one is the number line, like we were using with Frankie. And the second one is an area or bar model. Those can be used kind of interchangeably. So let me get started on how we can make equal or equivalent fractions. Let's start What's New by you grabbing some paper. It could be scratch paper, notebook paper, any paper you have nearby, or even a marker board, and a writing tool like a pen or pencil. I'm going to be using a Sharpie so that you can see clearly what I'm doing. Here we go. Let's start by proving that 1/2 equals something out of 4. So we know that the numerator of this is 1 out of 2 parts. And we don't know the numerator here yet, but we know we need 4 parts. So let's start with our number line. It can be kind of tricky sometimes drawing your number line on your own, but you can do it. Start by drawing a straight line across. Draw your 0 and your 1 for your 1 whole. We want to represent 1/2 on our number line. So we know we need to have 2 parts. So I'm going to draw a line in the middle. So I have 1, 2 to get to my whole. This one jump would be 1/2. And if I jumped both, that would be 2 out of 2 or 1 whole. Now I need to figure out what the numerator is to make this equation true. Something out of 4 parts equals 1/2. So I'm going to zoom in on this side of my number line and I'm going to divide it in half. And I'm going to zoom in on this side and divide that in half. Let me double check that I have 4 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I have 4 parts, but I need to figure out how many of those parts is equal to 1/2. Let's start at 0 and let's find out. 1/4 and another 1/4. 1/4 and 1/4 is equal to 2/4. I have solved this equation using a number line, but we can also solve it using an area model. Start by drawing your whole. I like to pretend that this is a cake because I just love cake, but you could pretend it's anything you want. So I'm going to start by drawing a line down the middle to represent 2 parts. I'm going to shade one of those parts, and I just do it quick. I don't need to color it in all the way. So 1 out of the 2 parts is shaded. 1/2 is shaded. But I need to find out how much would be shaded if there were 4 parts. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to cut it in half this way. Now there's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1/4, 1/4, 1/4, 1/4. That equals my whole. But how many are shaded? Wow, it's just like over here. 2/4 are shaded. This 1/4 and this 1/4 for a total of 2/4. Okay, let's try another one. Let's try to show 2/3 equals something out of 6. The numerator is 2 and the denominator is 3. That means it takes 3 parts to make the whole. But over here we have 6, which means it takes 6 parts to make the whole. I'm going to try doing an area model this time. I'm going to start by drawing my area model box, and I'm going to be generating an equivalent fraction to 2/3. So I know if I want to make 3 parts, I got to draw 2 lines. So that would be 1 line here and 1 line here. So that's about equal parts, and I have 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. I'm going to shade in 2 of my thirds. I just kind of do it like that. So now I have 2/3 shaded. But I need to figure out if there are 6 parts. What would that be equal to? How many parts would be shaded? Think to yourself, what could we do to make this into 6 parts? Well, I know that 3 is half of 6. So I need to double how many parts I see here. I could do like we did on the last page, and I can draw a line straight through. And now this is equal. I'm going to cross this out because now I have 1/6 here, 1/6 here. This part is 1/6, this is 1/6, 1/6, and 1/6. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 that are shaded in. And that is equal to my 2/3 that were shaded in originally. Wow, we're getting good at this. I think we should try a number line. Okay, this one didn't give us a denominator or a numerator, so we have to figure that out on our own. So remember, when we're doing a number line, we try to do it straight across. We start at 0 and 1. So if there's 5 parts, I know I have to draw 4 lines so I can get my 5 equal parts. So I'm going to start here, 1 line, 2 lines, 3 lines, 4 lines. Let's double check that we have 5 parts. 1/5, 1/5, 1/5, 1/5, 1/5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is equal here to 5 out of 5, or 1 whole. So let's find an equivalent fraction to 1/5. What if we just divide each of our fifths in half again? Let's try it. We're just cutting these right in half on our number line. Wow, that's a lot of parts. Notice that when we made the parts smaller, we had many more of them. And let's see how many we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Wow. 10 parts. So the bigger the denominator, the smaller the parts. The smaller the denominator, the bigger the parts. So let's see what's equal to 1/5 if we jump on only the tenths. 1/10 and then another tenth equals 2/10. So now we've proved that 1/5 is an equivalent fraction to 2/10. Nice work. Frankie and I are really glad that you could help us out with those area models and number lines. And so for our try it this time, I want you to try at home to figure out a couple of equivalent fractions. So you can add these to our KCPS Twitter, or you can share them on any of our social media platforms to show us what you come up with. The first one is show the equivalent fraction to 1/4. 1/4 equals something out of eighths. 8 parts, 4 parts. You can figure that one out. And the other one I want you to try on your own is 3/6 equals, oh no, we don't know the denominator or the numerator. Your job is to make your own equivalent fraction using number line or area model. Can't wait to see what you do. And just like that, we're out of time. Before we go, I want to teach you one of my favorites, a firework high five. It goes like this. Clap your hands together. Shh. Clap. Ha. Do it with me. Ready? Clap. Shh. Ha. All right, I'll see you next time.